Hey, my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I'd like to start off every day with a fresh, hot, black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. In my favorite coffee mug, which of course is the logo of my channel. Coffee with no Kahlua. Who knew? I've given up Kahlua. And actually, any time of the day is great for coffee because we can't even speak. It is currently 6 p.m. on Wednesday, October 14th. Hope everyone is well. So today's topic is, drumroll please, the life of a SAG-AFTRA actor these days. So as you all know, I've been a member of the unions for, 27 years already. And so, even if it's just background work, I tend to work pretty steadily. Of course, the last time I had worked on a set was early March, and then, of course, the pandemic hit. So, but productions, the good news is, have started up again. Not a lot, but there's a little bit happening in New York since I'd say about a few weeks ago. So let me just tell you about that. When it comes to like background work, there's a website called Central Casting, which anyone who wants to get any work, that's what you have to subscribe to. And I think it's up to like $17.95 a month. And then, you see all the different notifications, you submit for what you think you might be right for. And then they either contact you and say, first they check to see if you're available. And then you say yes or no. And then if so, they either end up booking you or they don't. So there's two agencies that get the bulk of the work, and they are Grant Wilfley Casting as well as Central Casting. So it's since about a year or so ago, now if you're going to work in New York, you have to do this anti-sexual harassment workshop / course, which about a year ago, I actually went into the offices of Central Casting and did that workshop. So, but I guess early September, I got an email from them saying that you have to do it every year. So I had to do it by October 2nd. But obviously, since nothing is open yet, you couldn't go in the office. You had to do it online. So I actually did it a couple of weeks ago on that Friday, the 2nd of October. So I contacted the office because I had a question about it. Now, I've yet to renew my profile on Casting Networks, but for some reason, by virtue of like calling them and speaking to someone there, I guess they remembered who I was, because then all of a sudden, later on that same day, I got a text message from them asking if I was available to work multiple days on Special Victims Unit. So, I said yes. I mean, they ended up not picking me. Like a few hours later, I got the email saying, sorry, but we can't use you for this. Which, like, I have to be honest, I was sort of like, when I said yes, sort of like, ooh, I don't know that I really want to commit to that many days, because it's like all of these other things in life. It seems like everything that I used to do pre-pandemic, I'm starting to do now, but I sort of like, I want to ease into things. So like, even in terms of like going back to the gym, which just opened like a month ago, I waited like a week or two, and first couple of weeks I went like once a week. Now I've been going like twice a week. So the thought of being on a set for that many days was a little scary. So frankly, I was a little relieved when they contacted me saying, we can't use you. And I was like, oh, good. So, but anyway, then later on that day, which I guess, later on that week, which would have been last week, from the same agency, I got another text message asking if I was available to work on a different project. So what's interesting about it is with all of these sets, that they're obviously taking major precautions, because what I had to do, I said yes, and then they were submitting pictures to the director, and they were going to handpick who they wanted for this particular scene. So, and this would have been, I guess, last week, probably like Tuesday or Wednesday. And then it was understood that if they picked me, I would have to go in Friday to get a COVID test, and then actually work yesterday, which was Tuesday. So, it's interesting because that in itself, like I did have the COVID test done back in like late June, early July, and of course it was negative. Well, I shouldn't say of course, because you don't really know. I mean, I was assuming it was because I'd been so ultra careful, especially those first 4 months. Like I did nothing, wasn't like, wasn't seeing massage clients, wasn't going anywhere, wasn't even hanging around people. And I was pretty much just staying home. But, the once a month that I would jump on the subway, you never know with these things. So it had been a number of months that had gone by. So when I had to get the test done on Friday, I have to admit I was like a little nervous about it, because even though like I thought to myself, well, I have to be okay, because I couldn't see how I wouldn't be, because I've been careful. But I have been seeing massage clients, not a lot, but, and I have been jumping on the subway more and, going out there a little more than I had the first 4 months. So even though I'm being very careful, and I always wear my mask, and, I have my hand sanitizer. I mean, I take it a step further, and I even always have a spray bottle of rubbing alcohol. Like I carry that with me everywhere. And it's like every 2 seconds, I'm like spraying my hands and arms and, all that good shit. But anyway, when I had the test done the first time in June, it was the nasal swab. So when I went on Friday, I had to go to some spot in Brooklyn, Bushwick, I think, or like the G train in Nassau. Then I had to walk like half a mile. But they did the throat swab, and the great part was I got paid for it. They paid, depends on the production, but they pay you like 100 or 125. I heard that initially they were paying the full like day's pay, which is, more than that. So I did that Friday, and I was a little nervous. And then I got the email by Sunday morning saying that, of course, the results were negative. So I guess what they're doing is like, if you're going to be on a set, they make sure that you get tested first. And then obviously, if your result comes back positive, they're not going to let you on the set. So you would only book it if your result were negative. So that was this past Friday, got the results Sunday. So then I actually went to work on the set yesterday. That was interesting because, beginning with the fact that it was an exterior shot, which means we were filming outside. And when they contacted me, they said fall exterior. So I said, okay, fine. But then, like, when I got all of the information Monday night telling me, like, what time I had to be there the next day and where and all of that, and then they tell you, what you should wear, like, wardrobe-wise. So then all of a sudden it was, like, 3 different looks, and it was, like, nondescript, and then sort of, like, eccentric / bohemian, and then, like, an athletic look, like if you were like at the gym and they're like shorts, muscle tees, and I was like shorts. And then I realized that they're like, we're shooting for late summer, early fall. So that was a little messed up because honestly, they're always good about saying, if you're going to shoot out of season, and they do pay you extra for that, but it's the principle of the matter. Because honestly, honey, I'm not trying to like shoot in the middle of October outside and making believe it's summertime when it's not. Because, bitch, you ain't going to give me pneumonia pay when I end up in the hospital sick. So it was kind of fucked up that, like, I saw that for the first time late Monday night when I got all of the information, which is about 10-ish, and I had to be there yesterday at 8. So, but meanwhile, in New York City, the last couple of days, not today, but yesterday and the day before, was, like, very rainy. Cold and wet. It was like in the 50s. And I'm thinking to myself, unless the scene actually calls for rain, how are they going to do this? So, I was up at 5:30 in the morning, got there at 8 o'clock. Holden was in Harlem, and it was a little bit of a pain in the butt to get to, but I made it. I got there. And so that in itself was interesting because like there were not a lot of us. There were only 25 of us. So I would think that in this day and age with everything going on, they want to keep the numbers to like the smallest amount of people as possible. When I first got there, they had the contactless thermometer, which they, took your temperature, and of course I was fine. I even had to like show them the email showing that my result was negative. And then where Holding was, because there were not a lot of us, only 25, it was this big space with like 2 different floors, and they had all of these like little tables set up, and they were all basically like 6 feet apart. So, you just like grabbed whichever one was empty. They also had someone there who was, whose job was to be like health and safety. So he's the one that actually took your temperature, and he was really good about like walking around and making sure that like everyone was standing away from one another and everyone was wearing a mask, and so it was a totally different feel. It was almost rather surreal. Like, obviously, like, this is the first time I've been on a set since March, first time since the pandemic anyway. And so I didn't know what to expect. So it's just interesting because I know in recent videos I've spoken about like facing your fears and like, slowly but surely doing things that were so commonplace for me. Pre-pandemic, I'd be on the subway every day. I'd be going to the gym. I'd be working on a film set. I'd be seeing massage clients, and then all of a sudden it's like, being on a film set for the first time since March, I didn't know what to expect. So it's almost like everything that you're used to doing your whole life, so many months that you don't do it. And now it's a whole different ball game when you go to do it. It's, I mean, it's a little unnerving. I didn't know what to expect. And, I almost kind of felt like I was a brand new SAG member all over again, even though it's been like 28 years. But, and then of course, like where we were filming, which is like by the West Side Highway, like around 130th Street, it was raining all morning. So like I basically got there at 8. I was in holding, and by about 10:15ish, 10:30, it had been raining like all night and all morning. And at that point, the rain had basically like stopped, but I guess where they were filming ended up getting flooded. So at about 10:15, they basically told all of us, okay, well, we can't film today, so everyone is wrapped. They were postponing it. Good news is we got paid for the day. So, I mean, I got the full day's pay anyway. I don't know when they're going to actually shoot those scenes. Excuse me. They did say to us, the outfits that they picked for us from our own wardrobe, of course, to wear. They said, just remember what those outfits were so that when we come back to shoot it, you already know what you're going to wear. Now, in all the years that I've done this, that has only happened one time where like one other time where I went on set, and then because of, the weather or things that they couldn't control, they ended up canceling it. And then they said, okay, just remember what you wear, what you were going to wear. And then that way you wear it when we call you back. Well, the one other time they ended up not calling me back. So I don't know if that meant they just went with like all new people altogether. Maybe they just, decided they don't want me for it anymore. I don't know. But it was interesting because the couple of hours that I was there, the way it was all set up, like holding was like on like 131st Street and 12th Avenue, but where we were actually filming was like 5 blocks down, and even like where the bathroom was like across the street in another building. So it was all like a little bit of a pain in the ass anyway. And I remember the couple of hours that I was there in holding, I was thinking to myself, I'm kind of dreading actually the thought of walking the 5 blocks and being on the set, which I never even really saw what the set was. It was supposed to be a park scene. So I don't know if the set was, I don't know, maybe like, sometimes they have like those benches and whatnot along the West Side Highway. Maybe it was something there. I don't know. The point is we ended up not shooting it. So the whole point of this video is just for those of you who are in the union, if you have not been back on set yet, I haven't renewed my profile on Casting Networks. I think I'm going to probably do that like next week. Like, I had been actually thinking that I would do it this week, but then when I booked this gig, I was like, I'll wait a week. But it was just, it's interesting. If you haven't done it, just be aware they will have to make everyone take a COVID test first, and then assuming that you test negative, then you'll be on the set. But I don't even know how they're going to handle that, because there was this guy that was on the set with me that I met. Now, here's the interesting thing. Today's Wednesday, so this was yesterday, Tuesday. He's working tomorrow, Thursday, on a totally different set. And what he told me yesterday was that they made him take a COVID test Sunday, as in 3 days ago, for the shoot that he's doing tomorrow, Thursday, but yet he had to take another COVID test for that same set that he just had to test on Sunday. He had to have another one today, Wednesday. And I don't know if, like, you know, does that mean that, like, anytime you're going to be on a set, if it's more than a certain amount of days that have passed by, you're going to have to retake the test? I'd imagine if it's a totally different production, yes, you know, if you're working isolated days here and there, I would think that before each one of those days, for whatever production it is, you'd have to have a COVID test. But I wonder, like, if it's the same production and if it's multiple days, like, how they're going to handle that. You know, either way, we get paid for it. So, you know, and in a way, I was kind of glad I was glad that I did. Just, you know, knowledge is power, and it gave me peace of mind to know, okay, well, I'm still doing things the right way. It's just, I guess the overall feeling that I have of it is, you know, it's what it is, basically, but it is all rather surreal. Like, you know, to think that, like, now to do something like background work or like being on a film set for one day, you have to get that done, and then that's how it's going to be. And then, you know, it's just going to be small amounts of people, and everyone was wearing a mask, and I don't know. I mean, but I'm glad that, you know, that was, if everything that I did or that I do, that I was doing pre-pandemic, this was the last thing for me to check on my list of, like, okay. So I'm really grateful for that. Even though it ended up working out that we did not film, you know, I got a full day's pay. I got paid for getting the test Friday. And the most important thing is, you know, apart from the obviously getting the paychecks, was the fact that I faced that fear and I was on the set, and now I could say, okay, great, I broke the ice, and now I know what to expect. And yeah, it's different. But these days, it seems like everything is different. So, anywho, so that's the whole point of this. So my question is to anyone watching this who is a member of Screen Actors Guild, have you guys been on a set? And if so, you know, how was your experience? Did it feel weird? I'm guessing you had to have a COVID test. You know, were there a lot of people? My set was not. I mean, well, in holding anyway, but it's just, you know, I'm curious to see other people's experiences. Like I said, I'm grateful that I did it, and I look forward to the next time that I book something, although I'm really not in any rush to, like, get back into it the way I'm used to, where, you know, I tend to keep busy with it. I'm not at that level of comfort yet. So, but baby steps, and I'm glad that I took that step. So anyway, guys, that's the scoop. So stay safe, can't even speak, stay safe, stay healthy. I'm glad you guys are here with me. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Don't forget, hit the notifications button so that you get all of my notifications. But my videos, as you know, are every Friday at 10 a.m. Give me a thumbs up if you like what I have to say. Don't forget, of course, subscribe. And as always, I'm so glad you guys are here with me, and I look forward to the next time. Alrighty, signing off. Love you. Bye.